Hello and welcome. This is my wife Mary and I'm Ed, and we are Branch Davidian Seventh-Day Adventists. We're excited you're joining us today. We present or expound on a principle or belief related to the SDA Sabbath School Quarterly each week. In this first quarter of 2020, we're studying the book of Daniel. This week's Sabbath School lesson covers Daniel chapter 4, the chapter attributed to Nebuchadnezzar himself, except for verses 28 through 33, which are written in third person, apparently by someone else. We can see that pride was Nebuchadnezzar's big problem, and that he was humbled by God. But what else can we learn about Nebuchadnezzar as recorded for us in the book of Daniel?
Wednesday's lesson points out that God was very merciful and long-suffering with him. God gives Nebuchadnezzar opportunity after opportunity to change his ways from, as Ellen White says, a tyrannical and overbearing ruler to a wise and compassionate king. He never seems to retain the message for long, however. Again and again, he simply gives the worship of the Most High God only lip service. He does not ever match his words with his actions. If he had, he would have returned to the Jews the sacred vessels he stole from God, and he also would have ordered and paid for the rebuilding of God's temple that he destroyed, like Cyrus and Darius of Medo-Persia did, but he didn't.
Does prophecy show this truth about Nebuchadnezzar?
Yes, it does. We'll skip ahead to the prophecy concerning the chronology of world history that uses beasts as its symbols in Daniel chapter 7. This prophecy is the same as that of the metal man statue, but gives us more zoomed-in detail in depicting the case of each historical event that was to transpire. In Daniel 7, verses 2 through 5, Daniel is recorded as saying, I saw in my vision by night, and behold, the four winds of heaven were stirring up the great sea, and four great beasts came up from the sea, each different from the other. The first was like a lion, and had eagle's wings. I watched till its wings were plucked off, and it was lifted up from the earth, and made to stand on 2 feet like a man. And a man's heart was given to it. And suddenly another beast, a second, like a bear. It was raised up on one side, and had 3 ribs in its mouth between its teeth. And they said thus to it, Arise, devour much flesh.
Notice that the lion had eagle's wings, but notice that before it was lifted up from the earth and made to stand on 2 feet like a man and given a man's heart, its wings were plucked off. What does that mean?
Well, as we all know, the head of gold in the statue of Daniel 2 represents Babylon at the height of its glory under Nebuchadnezzar. The beast of Daniel 7, however, represents the same kingdom as in Daniel 2, but with different nuances, which is why we have both prophecies. One of the differences between the golden head of Daniel 2 and the lion of Daniel 7 is that the lion represents Babylon not only in its glory, but Babylon from its very beginning.
Israelite history recorded that Babylon started way back in the days of Nimrod, shortly after the flood. See Genesis 10, 8 through 10. The wings of this lion cannot therefore represent speed, since this kingdom took a long time to reach its height in Nebuchadnezzar's day. We will discuss more about the wings in a future video.
However, we will say that the plucking off of the wings represents the taking away of Babylon's dominion of the world, just as the plucking of the 3 horns in Daniel 7 verse 8 represented the taking away of the dominion of those kings. When God took the dominion away from Babylon, it was given to men of God's choosing, men who would not only honor him with their lips, but honor him with their actions as well.
It's easy to see that Nebuchadnezzar never did return the sacred vessels to the people of God, even after his lofty speech in Daniel chapter 4. He never completely gave up his heathen ways. His grandson Belshazzar still had access to the stolen vessels and desecrated them to even a greater extent than did Nebuchadnezzar. He did not learn from the grand speeches of his grandfather, nor from the lessons given to his grandfather by the mercy of God. The kingdom was given to someone who would stand on 2 legs like a man and would have a man's heart, King Cyrus and later King Darius.
The heart represents the center of the human body, i.e., the control center. Likewise, in biblical symbology, the heart of a kingdom represents the king. In this prophecy, to have the heart of a man represents a king that has a heart that is after God's heart, since a man is made in God's image. To have the heart of a beast is to have a heart that ignores the ways of God, a heart that goes his own way and does his own thing apart from God.
Ellen White says this about Nebuchadnezzar's speech in Daniel chapter 4. God's purpose that the greatest kingdom in the world should show forth his praise was now fulfilled. This public proclamation, in which Nebuchadnezzar acknowledged the mercy and goodness and authority of God, was the last act of his life recorded in sacred history.
Kind of sad when you think about it. She said this public proclamation by Nebuchadnezzar is his last recorded act in sacred history. James 2 says, "What does it profit, my brethren, if someone says he has faith but does not have works? Can faith save him? If a brother or sister is naked and destitute of daily food, and one of you says to them, 'Depart in peace, be warmed and filled,' but you do not give them the things which are needed for the body, what does it profit? Thus also faith by itself, if it does not have works, is dead. But someone will say, 'You have faith, and I have works. Show me your faith without your works, and I will show you my faith by my works.'"
For a deeper study on the prophecies in the book of Daniel and Revelation, email us for a PDF copy of The Shepherd's Rod, Volume 2 by Victor Houteff. Thank you for staying with us through the entire video. We invite you to visit our website, www.bdsda.com, to learn more about who we are, and just as important, who we are not. Please join us each week as we will continue to offer new and interesting insights for your Sabbath School studies. God bless.
Many blessings.